I also appreciate the hard work that you all do. I know, uh, having been in elected office myself and served on various boards and commissions over the years, I know the time that it takes, and so I want to say I appreciate the work that each and every one of you do. I wanted to talk to you this morning about important issue to my district. If you don't know, I represent the 3rd Assembly District, Northern Sacramento Valley, also parts of the mountainous part of the North State. And I don't think it's an understatement at all to say that my district is home to one of the most prolific bird populations in the world, definitely in this state. As I drove up here today, I have fields populated with snow geese and ducks, egrets and cranes, all kinds of waterfowl, migratory waterfowl, right now. And I know many of you have probably been up there, you've seen it yourselves. We're also home to a vibrant predatory bird population. We don't have condors, and I'll get to that a little bit later in my comments, but we have hawks, we have bald eagles, we have osprey. So we have a very vibrant bird population in my district. We also have a very vibrant hunting tradition in my district. And I don't think those two things are coincidence at all. When our hunters are coming in, and I haven't seen the actual numbers on this, but I venture to guess that most of the hunting activity probably in the state takes place in the valleys and mountains of the North State. Assemblymember Dolly's in my district. And those hunters who come and do that activity, when they buy their licenses, that money goes towards conservation efforts. When they buy their ammo, that money goes towards conservation efforts. And when they gather together throughout this state, whether they're going to California Deer Association or California Waterfowl Association, Ducks Unlimited, millions and millions of dollars have been raised and put into conservation efforts because of that hunting activity and that hunting tradition. Now, when AB 711 was passed in 2013, it was a close vote. And I think that one of the main reasons that it did pass was because of assurances made that this would not impact hunting. That efforts would be made, concerted efforts would be made to protect hunting activity and to ensure that there would be non-lead alternatives available and feasible to hunters throughout the state, but especially in my district, because it's also an important part of our economy as well. So I have several concerns right now about the implementation of 711, and I'm coming to you as the commission to ask for your help in these issues. The first is that, as we know, the legislation states that the ban will be suspended for those types of traditional ammunition that are not commercially available. However, so far I have seen nothing in statute or regulations as to what the trigger for that suspension would be. And I think you guys are aware, there are several problems with making alternatives available. At least right now, it looks like ATF is not going to approve petitions. They haven't approved petitions that would allow the production of non-lead ammunition. And there are simply some calibers where alternatives do not exist. And so I think it's important for the commission to look at, analyze, and let us know what's going on in terms of finding actual availability of alternative ammunition for hunters. The hunting community needs to know this. Manufacturers need to know this, because if we don't have this information early enough in time, and it's just kind of dropped on us in 2019 when the ban goes into full effect, there simply won't be alternatives available, and that's going to severely hinder hunting activity and everything that goes with that I talked about. I think we need to have a very clear trigger on the suspension of the ban, so that people in my district, the public, and manufacturers know what to expect. And I think that criteria needs to lay out how and when the suspension would be triggered. Secondly, I think we need to know what the commission is going to do to address the economic effects of the ban. As I talked about, when people hunt, when they buy ammo, when they gather together, a whole lot of money is raised to help support hunting and conservation. It's estimated that this could lead to ultimately a 13% decrease in hunting activity in the state. That's a big deal. That was recognized that the impact does exceed $50 million, and it did trigger a standardized regulatory impact assessment. So substantially higher ammunition prices that we know are going to come not only hurt California's economy, but they also hinder conservation efforts. And in fact, when AB 711 was passed, Department of Finance estimated that it was going to mean up to $9 million fewer available for wildlife restoration. So in light of those facts, I think the commission really needs to look into and figure out how it's going to prioritize helping hunters purchase alternative ammunition. And that was a recommendation actually in the legislation, was that we find ways to provide low cost, to reduce cost alternatives to traditional ammunition. And your primary constituency, sportsmen, have yet to see any effort so far to address this devastating economic impact. And so I think we need to know what efforts are being done right now to help make those, not only make those available, make the non-traditional lead ammunition available, but also what's being done to help reduce the charge, to offer those at no or reduced charge, as the legislation recommends. And finally, and this is an important point for me, I would like to ask the commission to look in, as we're implementing this, do we take into account regional differences? We always have. We have different rules in different regions of the state based on what we've seen. In my district, I don't have condors, but I have a pretty thriving predatory bird population. It would seem to me that the issues that have been raised and have been seen in other parts of the state don't exist in my region. And I think it's important to take that into account as we're implementing 711. And I would ask for an ongoing dialogue between you and your staff as you're rolling out the implementation of 711, is how we maybe could do that. And if you haven't visited my district, I'd love to take you up there and just show you some of what I think are the differences with what the situation that we have in our district. And I am very proud of the thriving bird population that we have. Just a couple weeks ago, Chico hosted the Snow Goose Festival. We have birders from all over the world coming to my district because of what we have up there. It's special, it's unique, and we've preserved it. The rice industry, as many know, in my district, has provided critical habitat over the years for migratory waterfowl and have grown those numbers, have preserved that Pacific flyway. So we're hunters. We shoot a lot of ammo, but we also do a whole lot for conservation efforts, and that's why we've got the jam that we do in the North State. And I would like some consideration of that as we're considering this. So thank you for your time this morning. And again, I would just like to have some response and dialogue as to the criteria for suspension. How are we going to identify a trigger? What's going to be the criteria there? Funding opportunities for the hunting community to purchase non-lead ammunition. So far, I haven't seen any budget requests or anything specifically in budgets for fish and wildlife that are going to help with that issue. And how can we address regional differences throughout the state where the lead issues are not as prevalent, where the effect is not as prevalent? Can there be differences in how this is implemented? And if necessary, I would ask the department to sponsor legislation to either provide for suspension or provide for that funding or provide for this specific criteria that I've talked about this morning. So thank you for your time again this morning, and I look forward to continuing this dialogue.
So, Member Gallagher, thank you so much for being here. We really value the work you do, and we really appreciate your incredible district as well. This is public forum, so we're not permitted to discuss the details of it. But what I'll tell you, since I know you can't stick around, you got to get back to the work at hand, that when we get to item 41, talking about new business for future meetings, I'll ask at that time if my fellow commissioners will concur that we discuss this at our May WRC meeting to begin a dialogue on it, and we'll work closely with the department on looking at all the issues you raised.